Hannah, thank you very much for the introduction. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for the attention. As being said, it's quite a statement. The lowest common denominator in the maintenance management of critical facilities. Two terms I like to point out particularly: maintenance management, that will be something that will be discussed during the presentation, but also critical facilities. For the ones being present yesterday as well, might have noticed that a lot of the presentations had to do with workspace or soft service part of facility management. However, within Apleona HSG, and especially within our team, we have focused on the hard services side of facility management. Just to start my story, in 2017, we got offered the opportunity within the organization to participate in a masterclass program, an international masterclass program, initiated by Apleona HSG in Germany, which partly consisted of a study at the University of Cork in Ireland, as well as some internal research questions we had coming from our clients. That's the question exactly what the paper, the title of the paper is about. We all work in the critical environments for our clients, critical facilities, and they fully depend on these facilities for their business processes. However, they also came up with the question how we could offer as an organization a harmonized service throughout Europe. So not only in a particular country, but basically throughout Europe. They have multiple production sites, multiple locations, and every country does its own job. So they require the harmonized services. And that is exactly the aim of our research, how to identify the strategies, the programs, basically the way of working, how can we standardize it, and what is the basis, or would be the basis, to create such an approach. Different methods of research, of course, being used. The traditional literature review, can do research without it. But on the other hand, we did an analysis of our own contracts we have in place for our clients. Makes it a bit, maybe, how to say, to be self-aware. How do we do our jobs in the different countries? I continue speaking about Europe, but our research has been executed basically in 4 countries: Germany, Ireland, UK, as well as the Netherlands. The reason why we speak about Europe instead of these 4 individual countries is because we think that these 4 countries basically represent the majority of facility management within Europe. Let's put it into perspective. Maintenance management, where can we position it within facility management? This model, taken from the GFMA 100/1, for our point of view, represents the picture the best. We see building management, strictly limited to the operational phase, and one of these pillars is the technical aspect. That is exactly where maintenance management is positioned. However, facility management involves much more. It basically covers all the phases of a project, from the start, development, operational, all the way up to the disposal phase of a facility. Also, it covers multiple layers, so you don't have to only the facility management layer, but also the strategic as well as the normative leadership levels. Then I would like to switch to the maintenance management. So maintenance management, what is the difference? So let's just break it down into a number of different levels. From our point of view, you could break down maintenance management into 2 major levels, which is maintenance strategies as well as maintenance programs. This morning, we slightly hinted towards lean management. We have mentioned 2 others as well: total productive management as well as reliability-centered management. From our point of view, these are the most commonly used maintenance strategies which are currently seen in the market. However, they do not provide a fixed approach how maintenance should be executed. That's why we also have maintenance programs. To make it very simple, another breakdown 1 layer below: corrective maintenance versus proactive maintenance, or otherwise preventive maintenance. Corrective maintenance, very simple, no strategies involved, just fix it when it breaks. On the other hand, proactive, from our point of view, describes the best. You will do your maintenance upfront in order to reduce the chance of failures. And then, again, another layer breakdown of proactive or preventive maintenance, time-based, planned preventive maintenance, as well as condition-based maintenance. Time-based, planned preventive maintenance, most simple example, you just do your maintenance once a year, once half a year, once a quarter, once a monthly, etc. Condition-based maintenance, you would actually look at the performance, the condition of your equipment, how it performs, and when you see a drop of performance, you will do your maintenance. Further again, can be broken down into non-predictive condition-based maintenance, as well as predictive maintenance. I think the terms have already been discussed during a few of the presentations today, as well as yesterday. But just make it simple. We try to come up with an example which would be clearly understandable for each of you. And that is, from our point of view, a filter exchange of an air handling unit. Time-based planned preventive maintenance just says, well, you have to replace it every year, every 6 months, that's it. You don't actually look at the condition of your filter in between. Just after the 6 months or after the year, you replace it. Condition-based maintenance, you will use your sensor readings, basically your smart data, in order to determine the exact moment on which the performance drops to such a level that the filters would need to be replaced. Then the change between, the difference between non-predictive as well as predictive is that with predictive maintenance, you will do a real-time analysis of the data and could basically upfront determine the exact moment that a certain level of performance is to be reached. And you can say, well, we replace the filters 1 month up front, so we will never reach the critical level. A lot of terms being used, a lot of abbreviations being used. But we also found out during the literature study and during the discussions we had with the maintenance experts that there is a lot of different understanding on the content and the content of these terms. So that's why a couple of years ago the European standard was developed, the European standard 13306, which basically provides a clear understanding of all the terms being used in the field of maintenance. This model we've taken from the document clearly represents the way it is structured. On the top we have maintenance, we have preventive maintenance, we have corrective maintenance. Exact specifications have been provided and makes it clear to understand for each of us what is meant and how works should be done. We see the condition-based maintenance, we see the predetermined maintenance, but we also see that different terms are being used. So on my previous slide, I used proactive maintenance, but I also saw it preventive maintenance. We use the term time-based planned preventive maintenance. Well, we here see predetermined maintenance. So you see there is a lot of difference. However, this document, from our point of view, should specify exactly how the terms are to be interpreted or to be used in practice. So from our point of view, if you want to offer a harmonized service throughout Europe, this document should be the absolute basis. Based on this document, you should build up your contracts, based your definitions towards your client, so it's easy to understand. Just to get the self-aware, as I mentioned in the beginning, we did an analysis of all the contracts we have in place with our clients, as well as with the interviews with the maintenance experts in the field, internally within the organization, as well as externally. We came to some surprising conclusions. During the presentations we had yesterday as well as today, we also said we work smart, we use sensor data, etc. However, what we found out was that, and that's the red columns on this document, on this table, that most of the contracts we have in place with our clients, and also the way maintenance experts are working currently, is still based on the traditional time-based planned preventive maintenance approach. However, we also see, and that's mentioned in yellow, that the amount of contracts based on condition-based maintenance or predictive maintenance is starting to grow. And it has to do with all the technical developments going on currently. So it's coming, but it's not really there. The majority of the contract is still traditionally time-based planned preventive maintenance. So from our point of view, if at this point we want to offer a harmonized service to our clients, They are used to work on the principle of time-based planned preventive maintenance. We should stick with that and surely increase the amount of content regarding smart data, etc., to reconstruct it towards condition-based maintenance. So second lowest common denominator, time-based planned preventive maintenance. Finally, we did a research on what the impact of regulations, standards, etc. in the different countries was. We provided a breakdown shown in the table on the sheet. Dark blue color represents all the asset groups we identified, so electrical installations, cooling installations, etc. And for each country, we identified which standards apply or are to be used, etc. Based on the outcome of the inventory, we created a list of priority, basically ranking from the most important all the way to the nice to haves. Of course, it is of importance that in a local country you have to comply with all legislation and statutory requirements. So that is, of course, logically seen, the highest rank. However, if you want to have a harmonized service throughout Europe, you are still bounded to local regulations. However, we found out that within the legal regulations, you have an aspect, the health and safety environmental aspects, and the tasks being related to these actions are pretty much the same. These are indeed standardized throughout Europe. So again, these can be used as being the lowest common denominator for Europe. Just to mention the list to follow, next to the legal regulations, we have the OEM specs, regulations set by the manufacturer to fulfill guarantee, etc. Third one, insurance regulations. Could be, for example, that an insurance company of a client requests certain inspections to be followed. And the last one, maintenance standards or best practices, well, basically the nice to have, lowest priority in that order. Just a recap of what I just told. We have identified and explored all the 4 fields we see or we think that are applicable to maintenance management: strategies, standard, legal regulations, as well as methods. And when you put them on top, there's only a very small part in which they overlap. And that is exactly where maintenance management is located. It covers all the disciplines integrated. Again, just a recap of all the lowest common denominators we identified. The EN 13306. It's a live document. It's being updated every few years. New terms are being used. Yesterday we saw a term being used on top of predictive maintenance. If I'm correct, it was prescriptive maintenance. Could be, for example, that will be included within a couple of years within the standard as well, just to have a fixed definition. At this point, it's still, well, to be discussed, basically. Again, we have the time-based planned preventive maintenance as being, at this point, still the most commonly used maintenance strategy. And we have the annual-based legal HSE tasks to be taken along within such a harmonized service, harmonized maintenance approach. Just to provide an outlook to the future, again, we have the lowest common denominators, the European standards. On top of that, we see that predictive maintenance, so using the data, etc., is rapidly evolving, growing. We see the technical developments are on a very fast pace, and that will help us improve maintenance in the future. However, we also see room for extended research. Based on this research we did, the paper we just presented, we also see room for improvement on the field of risk and asset management, ISO 31000, ISO 55000. That research is currently going on within our organization, and we plan to present the outcomes of that research next year on the EFMC meeting. This was basically the story I'd like to share with you. Thank you very much for your attention.